Hi everybody, I hope everybody is well and is settling into the new year well. I know that everyone is settling into the new year. What have I been up to? Not an awful lot, to be perfectly honest with you. My deck buying has been minuscule, so go me. And as I've mentioned quite a few times previously, moving into the new year, my deck buying budget has gone from so we'll see how that goes. But there is a deck I've got my eye on come payday, so I'm debating. So as the title suggests, these are the decks I currently own that I will hopefully be working with in 2018. So if you follow me on Instagram, if you don't, follow me on Instagram. I post pictures of cute doggies. One dog actually, and cards. I'll link me below. Pop on over. Yes. So hectic week at the office as always, but you know I'm doing well with that. So let's dive in. So the decks that I want to use more in 2018. I had 7 decks that I posted a picture of, and these were the decks. And I'm very happy with the choices, but something weird happened. I added a number 8 without even meaning to. I wanted to, one of my decks in my collection, I wanted it to have more of a worn look. I have a tendency not to overuse certain decks because I don't want them to get worn, but there's that part of me that's like, oh, I'd love a worn tarot deck, one where, it's chipped and falling apart, and I suppose that's quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Not sure. It's purely for aesthetic purposes. There you go. Because obviously the idea is the more you read with one deck, the more it will become worn. But I was like, yeah, I like a lot of my decks actually. I don't really want them to get battered. But that being said, I do have a few decks that I don't overly like. So I thought, well, let's battle one of those. But at the same time, I still wanted to be able to read it. So I won't go through too many of the cards here because there's 2 decks here that I want to do in another video as well. So I'll just keep it basic. It is Miss Cleo's deck. We all know who Miss Cleo was. She fleeced a lot of people. We're not getting into that. The artist, on the other hand, I quite like the depictions of the cards. So they're quite garish in colour. So this deck actually comes with me to work, and this is the deck I've been using to pull a card a day, which I think kind of slightly hinders the using of the other decks, so I need to sort that out. But there you go. So this deck, without realising it, has come into 2018 with me, and look where I've been shuffling it, it's bent. But they're really good card stock, so I can't see them becoming worn anytime soon, but we shall see. So they come with me everywhere at the moment. So, like I said, doesn't really give much time for the other decks that I've actively pulled for 2018, but there you go. So, what decks are we starting with? Well, let's start with the closest one, the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery. I have used this deck. No, I did use this deck a lot. Maybe at the beginning of 2017, could have been 2018. There's a video on my channel of me going through the cards, and it was that time that I was using it a lot. So whatever year that was. But yeah, it's by Robert M. Place. I love Robert M. Place's decks, and I love this deck so much. I love his artwork, and the little book that comes with this deck, because he does other big books, I believe, but the one that comes with it is still really full of information. So I wanted to use this deck a bit more because it's not quite what I'm used to. Some of the cards are a little bit harder for me to grasp. I think there's a little bit more to be had under the surface for this deck. Personally, it's just my personal opinion. So yeah. So this is definitely one that I want to use a bit more. How, at the moment, I'm not sure. I think this one could also be a daily draw deck. I'm not sure. Haven't actually thought how I'm going to use them. I just know that I want to use them more. So there is that one. And the next one, because it is closest, is the Ibis Tarot, which I haven't used. Sorry, fluff. Haven't used since I got it. Long, thin cards, really good card style. Is it Game Systems? No, sacrilege. I do apologise. It is AGM Muller. So, and it was printed in Switzerland, and it's covered in my hairs. So again, this deck is definitely not something that I'm used to, and that would probably be why I haven't used it, because I couldn't be asked to put the energy in. It wasn't what I already knew, so I'm like, what's the point? But yeah, lately I've been reading a book on Golden Dawn teachings, which led me to look at a couple of Golden Dawn decks. I'm thinking, this is not the deck I was talking about at the beginning, but I was thinking of picking up the Hermetic Tarot at the end of the month as well, but we'll see how the funds go. And I was like, but I want to fix now, and the Ibis just seemed quite close to me. I could be completely wrong, but there you go. You know, with a little bit more than pips, but not scenic, not full drawings like the Rider-Waite-Smith. So I thought it might be a good place to start while I'm waiting for the end of the month. And the colours in this deck are awesome. I do believe that it is a remake, yeah, why not, of another deck. I did do some research on it, or did I read the Little White Book? I probably read the Little White Book. I think it mentions in there, because I think the other deck's black and white, or like a white yellowy colour. So yeah, with that one I was hoping to get a bit more of my stoic side on. So where do we go now? I think we'll go here, which is the Pagan 2000 deck. This one is a little different from what I'm used to, but it's still actually has, yes, I just paused. It has keywords on the bottom. So 9 of coins, increase. Get you some of the ones. The majors in this are amazing. Sorry, I'm trying to get closer to the camera. I realise that I'm a little bit far back today, but oh, I really should have sorted these into some kind of like order before I showed you, but there you go. And the Emperor, look at that. It's so pretty. So yeah, I wanted to try and use this because for this particular reason, actually. And I read somewhere, so I'm sorry if I'm wrong, I try not to take everything I read as gospel, but I think I read somewhere that it's more based on the Thoth system. I don't know if that's true, but this is the card. It's like 4 of Cups, happiness. Everything I know about the 4 of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith system, there is no happiness there. Well, there might be happiness, but do you know what I mean? So to be confronted with the 4 of Cups saying happiness, I'm like, this is going to require something. So trusting my gut, this deck is going to be trusting my gut for 2018. But next, we do have a pip deck. It's not a classic in the sense of TDM. Marseille. But this is one of the first decks. Sorry, my hair's wet. It's pissing me off. It's one of the first decks that I brought when I discovered the internet, when I discovered Eclectic Tarot and YouTube, and I was like, I had disposable income. Oh, Those days were so good to me, and I was just like, yeah, buy it. And I spent £40, maybe less. I've mentioned it in the video. It was the James Bond deck, which was the Tarot of the Witches by Fergus Hall. So, and I love that deck. I love the size of that deck, but I just, again, I never gave it time. So this one, my friend actually said a woman she knew had this deck, and did I want it? And I was like, well, I already have it, but this one had the red plaid backing, whereas the one I have has 007 written all over it. And I was like, yes, yes, because even though I wanted it as a collector, I was just being greedy. It 007 doesn't actually do anything for me unless it's Sean Connery, and then he does everything for me. It's true, Sean Connery is the best James Bond, hands down. Let's not get into a fight about it, just know I'm right. But yeah, so although I know this deck isn't per se as it was shown in the film, but I still love it nonetheless. So I love the oversized shoulders, the tiny feet. I love the world that Fergus Hall has created. So here we go. So we have the 10 of coins. So this is pretty much what they all look like. They all have all pentacles or stars, or they all look the same with the same kind of image in the center of the card. So this one I had to pull because it's definitely going to make me try and learn a different system. Instead of relying on the Four of Cups that I normally see and being like, oh, well, who knows anymore. But looking at the Four of Cups and just superimposing the Rider-Waite-Smith meaning onto it, which is fine. I do that. I do it with a deck of playing cards. But I thought I'd try, so, okay, we've got, emotion, we've got the blue background, we've got 4. 4's a good sturdy number. So numerology, colour, suit, what it means, that sort of thing. So I was hoping to really go for this deck, and I love the size of this deck. I do love tarot cards that you can really see the artwork, but I wouldn't be mad if every deck was made this size. I think this is poker card size, maybe slightly bigger, but I would not hate if they were all this size. And this is good cardstock, and this is US Games. And since I seem to be on it, let's see. And these were printed in Belgium, these ones. So quite pleased to finally pull my finger out of my bum and try and actually learn them and stop being lazy, because I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Is, for me, not you guys, for me, is that it's not easy relearning something that you think you already know or believe that you know a little bit of. So this kind of undoes everything. I'm like, but that means that. It's like, let's go about it a different way. So what's up next? Well, since you asked, this deck is the Wildwood. I had to think about it then. I think it's because I was looking at a post this morning about the original, so I got confused. This deck is, you've seen it all. I'm not going to go through it. I'm going to bash about it, but it's a beautiful deck, and it's very much in keeping with how I like to view the world, the mystical world, with the trees and the green man and the green lady, or the lord and lady, as I like to refer to them. The mysteries of the Isles, of woodlands, of the Fae that keep to the woodlands. I absolutely am immersed in that sort of world. That's how I like to view the world. It's not always possible in such a digital age, and here I am on a digital video, but you know what I mean. But it's nice, I think, when you step into these cards, you are completely stepping into a world of cause and effect, fate. The world just grows, it goes on with or without you, and it really shows that we are of the earth. I think most of us here know that we are of the earth and not on the earth. Hopefully people are pulling their fingers out to do something about it. I'm trying as well, less packaging. As soon as I get paid, I'm buying a bamboo toothbrush, and I'm stopped using Q-tips, earbuds, whatever you want to call them, you know, so small steps. And this kind of just, I don't know, it's kind of like a law. It's the wildwood law. That's how I feel when I use it anyway. I might be completely alone. So that's that one. And then we're down to the last two, which isn't bad considering I rambled for 15 minutes. The next deck, I seem to be favouring the US Game Systems decks today, is the Tarot of the Spirit. And again, this comes from my my wanting of an stoic kind of feeling deck, so somewhere that I can look at the mysteries of the world and the universe. And I appreciate I'm a bit like a polar opposite there. I'm like, oh, woodlands, I love woodlands, Gaia, fairies, at the same time, universal hands, you know. I gotta drink it while it's warm, otherwise it's gonna be shit. So, but I've done a video on all of these decks, I think. Not to any in depth. You know how I roll. I keep that to my Facebook. Ten of Fire Cage. So I love this deck. It's Pamela Eakins and her daughter. Oh, here we go. So yeah, Pamela Eakins is the scribe and Joyce Eakins is the painter. So Joyce did the paintings, and they're just very much with this deck as well. I would personally say it has like for me, you see how I'm stressing that, a Marielle vibe, in the sense that every time I get the Marielle out, I'm like, this is big. This is so big. The artwork, I'm not worthy of it. And I feel like that sometimes. I'm not worthy of it. Especially this, I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. Seriously, it's a good thing I paused that. You would have gone that way. So yeah, I just feel, you know, it's very intimidating. It's so lovely. And this artwork very much feels the same. I imagine I'd feel the same if I had certain other decks like the Margaret Peterson. Am I pronouncing that right? I'm sorry if not. Or the Divas of Creation. You know, there's sometimes some artwork is just, I feel like, I mean, or however you want to say it. But anyway, I waffled. But just looking at this now, I want to pause the video and just go and write, because so definitely with this deck, let's get my thoughts in order. This deck feels very much a meditation deck, a study deck, a journal deck. So let's just pop it away. And I am lucky enough that with this deck I have the book. I believe there's several big books that you can get with the deck. Don't hold me to that. I think I saw someone post it on Instagram. But this is the book real quick. Oh, don't do that. Pretty sure the Pagan 2000 deck's out of print. Don't just lost chat. Oh, that's a lot of hair in it. Anyway, so Tarot of the Spirit. So I have actually started to read this bad boy. I got this from a charity shop, and it's immense. It is absolutely immense. So studying, yes. Right, the next deck is too far away. Is a deck that I have had for a while, and it's, I'm not going to bother getting all the cards out because they get stuck in the shitty box it came in. But it is the Arthurian Tarot. The HoloQuest, I think I'm saying that right. A HoloQuest, yep. Deck. And I remember when I was looking for this deck, oh my gosh, I looked for ages to make sure I got the one with the black borders and not the white borders. So vague. But I love John and Caitlin Matthews. You know, when you think of tarot, there's always those people, for me anyway, there's always those people that you kind of like, you associate, like, you know, with oracle cards, you know, you might be like, ooh, oracle cards, they're definitely Alana's, they're Stacey's, they're Colette, even they were Doreen's, they're Kyle's, you know what I mean? And then when you think of tarot, you're like, you know, you have all these amazing tarot creators, you're like, especially in the independent market, you know, and then, but for me, it's like anytime I think of tarot or oracle, I'm just like, oh, Caitlin and John. They're like my king and queen. So, and I'm very excited to get Caitlin's book when it comes out, which is out in June. I believe she's looking at the Tarot Marseille system. So I'm like, yes. and I waffled, but there you go. I have the Legend Arthurian. I think I've spoken about this before, and those images have always been a little bit more captivating to me. Again, because they're what I come to know and understand from a tarot deck, whereas this one, for instance, Stone 5. However, Miranda Gray, who did the artwork, is an amazing artist. And I was reading the book, because it's always kind of hovering around this deck, and I was like, But when I was reading the book, they were discussing about going through the deck and forgetting everything that you know. You know, don't worry about what a card should mean and what you think it should mean, because what you've already learned, just kind of go with it. And I was just like, this will be a really good deck to test to see if I can do that. So that's kind of why I'm looking for a particular card for a second to illustrate a point. That is why it's kind of on the list. Not only is the artwork beautiful, I love Caitlin and John. I love Miranda. I've got the Merlin Tarot. That's an amazing deck. Excuse me, I've got a cold. And yeah, so like this one, Grail 7. So let's get to the point. So I was looking at it and I was like, I just don't really understand. I tried not to superimpose what I remember of the Seven of Cups. So when I read the book, I was like, oh, sorry, I'll just read the book. And I was like, I could have got to that on my own if I had just really given it some thought and stopped being so, what should it be? What should it be? So, but that's just me. And this has been one hell of a long waffly video, but you know me. So yeah, these are the 8 decks that I'm hoping to try and use more in 2018. The only person that's stopping me is me. So there should be absolutely no reason. I'm thinking of doing a rota per week, or maybe every 2 weeks, because it's going to be a long year, especially with my lesson dying. I'm dying. Decks buying. So yeah, I think I'll do that, and we'll go from there. But anyway, thank you for watching. I won't waffle anymore because I do have another video that I would like to shoot. But leave your comments below. Let me know what you think of the decks. What are you working with in 2018 for the time being? Do you find it hard to stick to it? I do. I often get distracted by another deck. But the only person that I'm letting down is me if I change what I want to work with. So, and when you have over 100 decks, there's plenty to play with, and YOLO. So anyway, guys, I will see you soon, and thanks for stopping by, and as always, take care of yourselves.